This video is the steps on how to create your Project One composite using Bridge and Photoshop. It also is going to introduce the interface or the working space of Photoshop as well. So the first thing I'm going to do in Bridge, go ahead, I'm going to click on my first picture that I want to open up, hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to click on the last picture and it will select all 6. Then I'm going to go ahead and double click, and this will open the picture up in Adobe Camera Raw. Next week, in our next project, I'll go more depth about what you can do to Adobe Camera Raw, but for right now I just want to go ahead and I don't want you guys to make any edits tonally because I don't want you to, I want us to be able to see the white balance that different white balances. So we're just going to go ahead and hit open. I'm going to do Command A for select all, and then I'm going to open them. So open all 6 of these pictures in Photoshop. While they're opening up in Photoshop, let me talk a little bit about the interface. So we have different workspaces that we can use in Photoshop to view how we edit our pictures. Because Photoshop is not just used by photographers, graphic designers use Photoshop, other people use Photoshop. The default is here is Essence. And Essence has a lot of windows that we don't need open. So we're going to click on the workspace and we're going to go ahead and hit photography. Well, now we're kind of looking at the photography website. We also have different screen modes. If you go down here to the bottom, so this is the toolbar. These are all the different tools we can use in Photoshop. If you click down here, you can click through the different screen views. So you have standard screen view, full screen mode with the menu bar, and then just full screen. There is, if you click the F key, you can toggle between all 3 views. So I'm just going to keep it on standard right now. That way I can also see, when standard, you can see all the different files that are open. Toolbar, of course, I just kind of said these are the toolbars. The toolbar you can pull out and move anywhere. Well, maybe. There you go. You can also make the toolbar 2 up or 1 long thing. You can also nest it back in, if I can. So when I pull it back, you see how it kind of becomes blue? Now it's going to nest it back in. I like to leave it nested. That way I don't lose it by any chance. Every tool, so all these different tools, if you notice on the top here, when I click on each tool, you have these different option bars, and these are controls within the tools that you can change things. So like when I want to crop, I can change my crop settings. Everything else that we see in here are panels. So we have our toolbar. Over here on the right, we have these different panels. So we have the layer panel, the channel panel, the path. We also have libraries, navigator. These that are closed are also panels that you can open up and close for other reasons. And like for instance, this is the history. So throughout the semester, we'll be looking at different panels. The ones that are kind of good to know about is history, the layers panel, kind of looking at the histogram, these adjustment layers, things like that. So for zooming, if I wanted to zoom, the shortcut tool for zoom is the Z. So that's this magnifying glass. So I can select the Z and I can click in and zoom in that way. I can also, the hand key, once I zoom in, if I want to look through my image, I can select the hand key. And the one thing to know, I'm in the zoom, if I hold down the space bar, so the shortcut is space bar, and any tool will pull up the hand key so I can kind of go through and look at my pictures without having to activate the hand key. But the H is the hand key, I believe. So let me see if I hit H. Yep, H is the hand key, the H key. To activate a tool, it's usually just 1 letter key. To do something, it's usually Command plus something. All right, so speaking of that, here are some shortcuts for the view. So Command 0 will do, whoops, I hit the wrong Command O. Command 0 will make full screen or fit to screen. Command plus, I can zoom in using Command plus, and Command minus lets me zoom out. So there's other ways you can also zoom in and out without having to select the zoom key. And I'll be honest, I most of the time don't activate the zoom key. I just use the Command plus and minus and Command 0. So the first thing we're going to do is, I've opened all my pictures. Now I'm going to create a blank new document. So I'm going to go up to File, New, to open up a new document. And over here, I'm going to Untitled. I'm going to go ahead and name this document. This is what you are going to turn in for critique. So last name, first initial, 2650, Project 1. For width and height, I'm going to keep it 2000 for my height and my width, resolution 300. I'm going to go ahead, my pictures are at 16-bit, so I'm going to change them to 16-bit. If your pictures are 8-bit, you can leave that at 8-bit. And my background, I want it to be white right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. Now, if I wanted to manipulate my color swatch, so over here I have my color. If I double click on this, this opens up my color picker. And what I can do is I have the top color is my foreground color, the background color is my background color. If I wanted to reset it, I can click on this. That will reset it to black and white. And if I wanted to toggle between my background and my foreground, it's just the X key. So the X key lets you toggle between them. If I want to pick a different color, I have all these different colors, so I can go through the colors, and then I have all these different tones that I can pick. Now, if you notice, and all these are combining the red, green, and blue values, I can also adjust my hue and saturation. But if you notice, when I'm moving it around, I have this, you can see that it's changing these values here. So here are my red, green, and blue values. Here is my hue, saturation, and brightness. This right here that's being highlighted, that is that hexadecimal number. So each color has a unique code that tells you what the color is. So I'm going to leave it white for right now, and I'm going to see if I want to make it a different color. I'll do that at the end. So I want to use the Move tool, and the Move tool is the first tool in the menu bar, or you can also hit the V for Victor, or the V for Move. If you select that, that activates the Move tool. And I'm going to click on my first picture. I'm going to move this picture out. Now what if I select that picture and then click on this picture? Yeah, we'll just do something like this. Okay. All right. So what I did was, so what you will do is if this is nested, aha, there it is. All right. So now what I did is I just kind of put them a little bit out of order. So now I can click on this picture. I'm going to click and hold, drag up until so this is activated, and then I'm going to let go, and it's going to copy that picture over. As you notice, this picture is really quite large. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and rename this one. This should be Outdoor. So I double clicked on the layer 1, and this is Outdoor Daylight. So, and you're going to rename each layer corresponding to if it's indoor, outdoor, and what kind of white balance it is. So I want to resize this. So to resize my layer, I'm going to do Command T. So this is free transform. I'm going to go way out, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring this down, and I'm just going to resize it to about right there. And then once you're done resizing it, you're going to go ahead, and we want to be able to either have 3 images up and down and 2 across, or 3 across and 2 rows. So it's kind of like your decision on what you want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this picture because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to hit don't save. Now I'm going to go into the next picture and do the same thing. So I'm going to click, drag, let go to bring it into this picture. This is Outdoor Fluorescent. Do Command T, grab the corners, just kind of drag it down. And right now I'm tentatively going to try to make it the same size as the one above. So when I move this, you see how those pink lines show up? Now I can see that they're the same size. Hit enter to apply that, and go ahead and close this one because I don't need it anymore. Now I'm going to go into this next one, click and drag up, bring it back down. I'm going to go do a Command T. I'm going to bring this resized. And now that I look at it, I think this is my fluorescent and the one above it is tungsten. How I know it, so if you're curious, like, I don't know, Jen, how do I know the difference between them? Is that fluorescent should have a bit of a purple look to it, and tungsten will be blue. If I can spell it right. There we go. So let me go ahead and rename this one, keep the word outdoor, and call it tungsten. Alright, I can close that one, don't save. And now I'm just going to keep repeating those steps for the indoor one. So I'm going to click, drag, then I let go, and that will bring that picture into this composite. I'm going to resize them. Maybe just a little bit closer. Okay. And this one is, let me look. So that's, I think, fluorescent, that's tungsten, and that's daylight. Yep. All right, so this one is indoor fluorescent. Don't need that one. Click and drag this one up. Bring it back down, Command T. Enter. And this one is my indoor tungsten. One thing I need to do is well, I'll get to that in a second. All right, then I'm going to do my last picture. So I'll click, drag this up, bring it down here, do a Command T, and drag this one over. All right. And this will be my indoor daylight. So indoor daylight looks a little bit orange. Indoor tungsten looks right, and then indoor fluorescent still looks a little purple. All right, so now that I have my pictures all in here, I need to make them the same pictures, like put them in order. So technically, this is my daylight. So it should be moved up here, and then I'm going to move my fluorescent down here. Now, one thing I have selected up here in my options bar, let me make this a little bit bigger, is this auto select layer. And the nice thing about that is that lets me select my layer and move things around. So, yep, that looks pretty good. Layers, why we want these all to have their own individual layers is now I can move them individually and I can kind of line them up. So I have them organized the way I want to. I'm going to go to the history panel for just a second. I can also, so if I want to undo something, I can move up in the history panel. I can hit Command Z to undo. I'm going to go to Photoshop Preferences, and then I want to go to the Performance. I'm going to go down to Performance. And under History Log, or States, I want to increase this up to 80. And the reason why I want to increase that, or 89, that's fine, is that means when 80 of these things I can go back 89 steps or 80 steps. When it's at 50, once it gets to 50 steps, when I do 51, all those other 50 steps disappear. So this allows me to also do that as well. And in history options, this is where I want to come in here, and I want to check allow non-linear history, meaning if I didn't like this, I can step back there, but I'm not losing my other steps that I made. So the shortcut for undo is Command Z, as in zebra. And so Command Z will go backwards, and if I go Command Shift Z, I can move forward. So if I go Command Z, and then I'm like, oh, I want to do that. One thing I do want to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all these layers because I'm a little bit too much to the bottom. So if I select all my layers, I can move them as one big bunch. And I can now I can go ahead and evenly disperse, make it more even in the picture. So I'm going to go ahead now and select the text tool, and the text tool is the T for text. And I want to create a text layer for the following. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do, I want to do an outdoor column. So I'm going to click on this. Up here is my color. So I want my text, I'm going to make my text black. I can change my size of my text so that's easy to read. I can change what type of text that I want to use, as long as it's legible and it's not too hard to read. So I'm going to go with that one. So this is my outdoor column. I went with that route. Now I'm going to select the text tool again, and I'm going to put in my indoor column. And I'm just kind of line those up. And then I'm also going to create one. So this would be, that one right there is daylight. So my daylight row. So I can that's a little bit big because of the spacing. So I'm going to come in here and let's make this a little bit smaller. Let me try 16 point. So here is my daylight. Now I'm going to add another text. This will be my tungsten. I'm going to kind of line that up so they're the same. And then my third one is going to be fluorescent. I am missing an E. That did not look right. There we go. And then I'm just going to line this one up. So that way it's labeling daylight pictures, tungsten, fluorescent, outdoor versus indoor. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a file save as, and I want to save this as a TIFF file, and this is the file that we're going to turn in. The other thing I want to make sure to do, and let me make sure this goes in my project 1 folder. So this will be my project 1, my TIFF. So I know that's what I'm going to turn in. This is missing my IPT metadata. And there's two ways I can apply it when I create a new document. I can go up to File, and I can go to File Info, and then here I can add my template right here, and then hit OK, and it adds it that way. So that's one way I can add my metadata, or I can go back into Bridge, and then go to the desktop where my digital imaging picture is. I can also come up here and I can go up to Tools, and I can append metadata, and I can add it that way. But be sure to go back in and add your IPT metadata, because I will be looking for it when I grade. The last step is turning this on into the Mac server. So to do that, I can go ahead and close this because I've already saved it. So I'm going to minimize this. All right, so here's my folder. So I'm going to open that up. And what you're going to turn into me is just that TIFF file we created. So I'm going to go to the Mac folder. I'm going to find my name, our class folder, click on project 1, and then I'm just going to click and drag that into project 1, and that is how you will turn it in. And then we will have a discussion. If you go to your project 1 handout, step 9, there are some questions I want you to answer, kind of evaluating what you did. And so yeah, you'll turn this project 1 packet in when you are finished with the questions.